Warning: the following video presentation contains scenes of extreme deliciousness. Failure to either eat first or bring a snack to consume during the presentation could result in wanting to lick the screen or in some way act the fool. Ain't nobody want that. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, boys and ghouls. DK's making a snack today. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? DK's making a snack today. Shove it right into your mouth. DK's making a snack today. What's it gonna be? Is he making it for me? DK's making a snack today. It's time for tactical snacking with DK.
Howdy how, folks. How's it going today? Hopefully y'all are doing good. I am doing pretty well. As you may or may not have noticed, across the bottom of the screen, you'll see a now playing, scrolling Healing Bob. I finally got a music scroller set up, so then that way, if you find yourself enjoying a particular track you happen to be playing, that will show the info. All of the songs that I'm using are from a gentleman by the name of Carl Casey, if I remember correctly. Gentleman, his group is called White Bat Audio, and he does DMCA-free music in the vein of like synthwave, vaporwave, and some darker stuff too. And anyways, his stuff is fantastic. So everything that I have scrolling through there is all going to be from him, but it'll show what album it's on and what the song title is, and that's all available on Bandcamp. So, hey, Avocado Man KitchenAid. Oh, the music's drowning me out. Okay, let me turn it down. Hopefully, how's that? Is that better? Because I switched up the playlist and everything else, and so I was playing around with this today. So if the volume's too loud, just say something and I'll go ahead and turn it down. But I should take care of it for everything. So but yeah, been caught up doing a whole bunch of stuff, and so far so good. But for today, what I'm making is a beef and barley stew in the Instant Pot, which wasn't initially what I was thinking I was going to make, but after going to the market yesterday, and the prime grade tri-tips that I was initially going for, what ones that they did have were really small and not really worth picking up. Hey, Scott 2572, welcome. So I completely bypassed those, and as I was at the market, hey, here's a couple of really nice looking chuck roasts on sale for about a third of the price of those tri-tips. So I doubled down and said, okay, let's do this. So it's actually pretty nice here today. Overall, we got a nice breeze, and it's a really nice temp. It's actually a break from the heat. So I figured, you know what, a beef and barley stew, it's something I haven't made in a while, and it sounded good, and it's nice and hearty, and it's, pretty easy, especially in the Instant Pot, so why not? So that's the plan of action for today. And then because I had that second batch of the Ladenia dough from Tuesday that I was going to make bagels with, but I got busy doing a whole bunch of other stuff and ended up not making the bagels. I figured, hey, let's just take the whole thing, bake it as a tray, and treat it a little bit like a focaccia, and have that as a side to go with the stew. So we'll make I've got some garlic infused olive oil that I made earlier that we'll use, and then we'll add some fresh herbs that I pulled out of the garden and some fresh garlic to that, and we'll bake it off to go with the stew. So let's get cooking. But first and foremost, I'll hydrate. Sorry to hear that, Scott. We've been having temps like that for the bulk of last week. Today is just an odd reprieve. In theory, we should be going back to the heat. Sorry. There's a cable that was potentially dropping into into camera view, so I thought it'd be like, hey, phase 6, what's going on? Welcome, welcome. Oh, you got a dumpster fire emote. Very nice. I have one too. Let's see. Where is it? There it is. So welcome. Oh, thunderstorms tonight. Oh. See, we don't get thunderstorms too often here. For the most part, I mean, it's just rain. It is rare that we have the actual thunderstorms, but when they do happen, they're always a good time, or at least I enjoy them. So, yeah, let's get started on the cooking, shall we? The first thing that I need to get going is breaking down that chuck roast, so then we can use that. So let's pulled a couple of bowls because I'm gonna be chopping up vegetation that's gonna be going in second. And since I'll be sauteing it up in the pan, the recipes for everything. Oh, what do you know? My Snackbot already posted it for me. Thanks, Snackbot. But yeah, if you want to play along at home, there's the recipe. The one thing in going back and looking at it that I'm gonna want to revise is on it. I think I have listed like a tablespoon and a half of salt. I need to fix that. Mostly because if you're using like a beef broth or, you know, bouillon or something like that, it's gonna have a fair amount of salt in it anyways, and so whatever salt you end up adding is gonna be really dependent on that. So I'm gonna adjust that in the actual recipe that's posted. But this is the chuck roast that I'm going with, and we got some really nice marbling through it, so that's a good sign. Not a whole lot that needs to be trimmed off, just some of this exterior stuff, but maybe a little bit there too. But then we'll cube this up and we'll use the whole thing. This guy is a little bit under 3 pounds, and on the recipe I think I have specified 2 pounds, but I'm just going to use the whole thing because I'm going to use the whole thing. Yes, it is. And to be honest, like, Phase 6, this particular, part of the reason why I picked it was because it has all this intramuscular marbling. And that's where all the, really good flavor is. It's not so much with this exterior fat. I mean, this is really excessive. And the other thing I'm taking off is there's a bit of silver skin on here, which is kind of like a, how do I explain it? A protective layer, I guess, in between the fat and the muscle. But for the most part, it is not really digestible, and so it's just easier to take it off. But if you don't get every last bit of it, it's not hypercritical. Especially since, you know, we're doing this in the Instant Pot, and that's gonna help break down some of this stuff in a hurry. I'm going to hang on to a little bit of this trim, add it to the dog's food as a nice little treat for him. Stuff like that, maybe a little bit of that, but for the most part, that stuff can go away. Okay. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So that stuff, I can get rid of. This stuff. Hang on to for the dogs. All right. So, let's see. Breaking this down for the stew, I'm gonna kind of follow the natural separations in the muscles, pull them apart, and then break it down a little bit further. A little bit more of that connective tissue there, we can say. And if you end up not doing this, it's not the end of the world, honestly. But I'm here, I can do it, I might as well. You know what I mean? You can see the cord for the Instant Pot poking out there. So I got it sitting right here, kind of underneath where the camera and everything is at. Just to kind of keep it out of the way until we're ready for it. But like I've said previously in using the Instant Pot, like I'm not a huge fan of actually sauteing it in the Instant Pot myself. I find it to be a really cramped area, and so like I'll you know, wash the extra pan that I need in order to kind of get stuff sauteed in there first. Okay, so let's break this down into some more manageable pieces. And I think this is a pretty thick cut. Probably about that thickness, which is, I don't know, anywhere from about 3/4-ish of an inch. It's not super big, but it, you know, works for bite-sized pieces. Yeah, it does have a really nice marbling to it. I think they had it labeled as, I don't know if they have it labeled as select or choice grade. That in and of itself is really interesting kind of process. The way that they grade beef here in the US is it's on a scale, obviously, you know, prime, choice, select, and then there's a number of grades actually beneath that, which don't normally get sold in markets, but are used for things like feed and other things. Then there's, what is it? I think it's the green grade, which is steers that have been, they've opted not to have graded for whatever reason. But anyways, the way that they actually determine the specific grading is it's a percentage of marbling from in between, I think it's the third and fourth rib, if I remember correctly. What they'll do is at the processing plant, they'll cut into the individual steer right there at that particular joint, and they have a scanner that they put down on top of what is effectively the ribeye. Utility cutter counter, yeah, there you go. They have like a, you know, little thing, but it scans it, and the percentage of fat determines whether or not it's, you know, what kind of grade it is. Now, places like Japan that have, you know, they have their Wagyu, which is the breed, but then they have like A5 Wagyu. So like above what we would consider prime, they have even higher grades that are higher percentage of fat that ends up being used. So it's kind of interesting. Okay. Thought I had cut that up into strips, but apparently I did not. There we go. For this particular application, it's not hypercritical that things are 100% the same size, since it's being all cooked under pressure anyways. And I'm actually going to leave this chunk of fat there. The reason for it is because I actually want to render out some of the beef fat ahead of time anyways. Okay. Beef done. I'm going to get rid of this. Out comes the blackboard, because now we get to, hey, I'm the Soldiers of Giants. How you doing, man? It's been a while. Talking steaks? Oh, well, we were talking, I was talking about the grading of beef in the U.S., and how they determine what the grading of it is, and really how it's a function of the percentage of fat to muscle at a very specific point in the steer. And that's how they grade them. Because it isn't unheard of for steers within the same herd. Some will have a prime, but some will have, you know, like a choice or select grading. it's rare because the ranchers will try to ensure even feeding and, you know, fat development depending. So, okay, beef is cubed up. That's good to go. Now we need to chop up our vegetation. And if you refer to the recipe, we are doing an onion. And I happen to have a very large one kind of left over. So this is the onion I'm going to use. And I think I have on there a yellow onion, but to be honest, whatever onion you got, use that. Let's go with that knife. And then really what I'm aiming for is about kind of a dice. But again, because this is stew, it's not all that critical having super clean knife cuts. So now I've got a couple of mushrooms that I need to wash, and then we'll chop those up and get them in. I've got some celery. I got a couple of carrots here that I'll peel, and we'll put those in. I've got a gargantuan bit of celery. But I only need a couple of these for today. To be honest, the addition of the carrots, onion, and celery, it's just the kind of your standard mirepoix sort of thing. So those kinds of proportions would be kind of what I'm generally aiming for. It's been a hot minute since my animal sciences class. Beef grading, the different cattle breeds are good for more or less. Marbling was part of the Animal Science 101. It was partially an agricultural college, not super surprising. Not super surprising at all. No, it was a topic of conversation when I was in culinary school, and especially when we went to we had the field trip to the slaughterhouse. That's where that came up. So this is just a couple of button mushrooms that I had. If you don't like mushrooms and you don't want to add them, it's totally fine. You don't have to. I just happen to have these, and I like them in stew, so I figured, we'll throw them in. since we're, you know, sauteing everything up first, it all works out. Slaughterhouse Strip is a bit rough for some of us, but really interesting and important info. Yeah, and, you know, it is interesting. It was a field trip that you do in the second semester, or at least it was the second semester when I was in school, specifically during the American Regional Cuisine section of the class. And it was a sobering experience, I'll say, because at least we saw 99.9% of the process. They didn't hide anything from us, and you know, they explained everything really. And the only thing that we didn't see was the exact moment, because the way that this particular one was set up is the holding pen was kind of out back, and they were individually led up a ramp into a room that doors shut behind them, and they were in an enclosed space. And it was a very quick bolt that goes right through the... you can't saute anything. I've tried. Any tips? Yes, I do have some tips for you. But it was a bolt that went through the head that was super quick and about as humane as possible. And then on the inside of the plant, the door would open and the steer would come down the chute to the kind of the floor where there was a person, and I didn't even know what we were looking at until the instructor pointed it out. But there's an individual there that does a secondary sort of a coup de grace, as it were, including a slit across the throat very quickly, and then there was like one other thing that they did that I can't remember off the top of my head. Basically, in the event that what happened up in the room didn't work, this was to make sure that, you know, the animal was put down as quickly and as humanely as possible, as odd as that may sound. And then at that point, it became very quick work. Between stringing up the steer and then being taken kind of around, and the whole process from the moment that they came down the chute to the moment that they were heading back into the kind of the big refrigerator area to hang for about 2 weeks, which is pretty common, was maybe 5-10 minutes. It really wasn't long at all. And there was 2 USDA inspectors there watching the process. So it was sobering to watch and made me appreciate where, this beef came from and what went into it. Oven's ready. So it was a really good experience, and in the group that I went with, it wasn't too bad. I think there was only like one person that got a little ill, but I personally was fine and ended up going and getting a double cheeseburger afterwards. Glad eating. It was like a 4-hour field trip. So, okay. I'm thinking probably about 3 carrots. That's what we got here. Yeah, transparency is super important. All things considered, and most large slaughterhouses set up to be as humane as possible. Yeah, and that's just it. And this particular one catered to a pretty amazing rancher in San Diego. I forget. I think it was Grant. was the name of the ranch, and they took their kind of animal welfare very seriously in terms of feeding and tracking and care for the animals. And so yeah, this place was very transparent, very like, okay, this is what's going on. Yes, you can absolutely see. I know that that particular plant had some issues with like people trying to bring in video cameras, mostly from like animal rights groups and stuff like that. And so they had asked, you know, please no photos and things like that. Just that, because, you know, the identity of the workers, you know, their privacy and stuff like that too. But that's pretty common anyways. But back to your question on the Soldier Giants about not being able to saute. What are the specific issues that you're having? Because sauteing is, I mean, it's literally heating up the pan, adding a fat of choice, and then throwing in, you know, either vegetation or whatever. So what kind of issues are you having, man? I have no idea. Okay. Just getting these potatoes rinsed off, because really the only other thing that I have to prep is the garlic that's going to be tossed with the beef. And since I have to prep some garlic anyways to go with the bread and everything, I'm gonna make some slightly quick work out of it, because then I'll be chopping up the herbs and stuff in this. So let's do. Maybe cooking too long, temperature, everything just comes up like limp mush. Okay. So when it comes to sauteing, right? The idea is that you're, you know, you got the fat in the pan, you got whatever it is that you're trying to saute, but then the question really becomes, what level are you looking to take it to? Because if it's coming out like mush, it could very well end up being that it's going too long. But if you're, say, trying to caramelize onions, mush is just a step in the process. So it really kind of depends on what your goal is. So like, say for instance, you're trying to saute up like say vegetables for a stir fry, right? So usually with a stir fry, it's high heat, you're keeping them moving, and really what you're trying to, you're aiming for is the vegetation to have softened a bit, but not be, you're aiming for that tender crisp, as it's called, where The vegetation is slightly tender, but it's still got a bit of snap to it. And that's something that just takes a bit of practice. But it's one of those things that you're constantly trying and checking in order to make sure that you're not overdoing it. Now, Mrs. Wayso likes to cook over lower heat. She's just more comfortable that way. For sauteing, I don't recommend really low heat. Honestly, I would say turn it up as high as your stove will allow. And then you don't walk away from it. You're tending to it, you're watching it, you're moving things around. We're going to be doing a bit of that in hot potato. We're going to be doing that in just a couple of minutes anyway, so I'll show you what I mean. What's crazy is I just bought this garlic and the garlic's a bit janky. I'm standing here like trimming it because in case you're wondering what on earth I was just talking about, what kind of flew in and landed on my bench scraper here was an Indian meal moth. One Indian meal moth, they can come in from the outside, but in the event that you get an infestation of them, they're insanely difficult to get rid of. But what makes me really unhappy about that is it's not the first one that I've seen. I think that's probably the third in the last week. So that does not make me happy. That's the entire reason why we keep things like this pearl barley in glass jars, or these plastic containers, is because we had an Indian meal moth infestation back in the day, and that was no fun. Okay, we still got some big chunks, so I'm gonna finish. Do that. All right, it's much better. We're gonna hang on to that. Add a little bit to the beef. And the rest of it we're going to hang on to that and finish that off in a few minutes once we actually get this stuff going. So I'm going to head over to the stove and then we will get started. Okay. So this is a stainless steel pan. It's not non-stick, and most people aren't a huge fan of using pans like that because things stick to it. Well, the reason why they stick to it is because you have to know how to use them initially, and the way that it works is you got to preheat your pan, then add your fat to it, let that heat up, and then start, you know, you can throw in your vegetation, whatever. And that's going to aid in helping it to not stick. Now, that doesn't mean that stuff won't stick, but it just means that you have to be a little bit more conscious of it. Since I'm standing over here, I'm going to cut the potatoes. And normally I would use reds in a stew just because they hold up better, but I had these and I needed to use them, and so I'm going to use them. And they will probably break down, but they should kind of help thicken the stew up a bit, and that'll be good. And it occurs to me that you'd have no idea what I'm talking about because I forgot to change the camera view. These are Yukon Golds that I just quartered. Well, eighth, I guess. Quartered and quartered. So there we go. That's ready to go. The herbs that are going to go into there. I picked some rosemary and thyme from our garden earlier today. So, having trouble throwing stuff in the oven pan before it's heated. Probably also part of my problem. Yeah, and that's just it. Is it's, you know, you gotta balance it out. You gotta, you know, have a little bit of patience when doing this. Sometimes you gotta be real quick. Sometimes you gotta slow down. Gold potatoes. Yep. Okay. Hey, puppy. Because I've got a lot of vegetation, I'm just trying to get a nice layer in the pan here. I just added a couple of pinches of salt just to kind of help not only season everything, but once the salt works into the cut open cell structure of the vegetables and everything else, it'll help draw out some of the moisture and start getting that sauteing going. Wow, that's amazingly blown out, which is so weird. That's a little bit better. Condensation. What is my go-to fat? I know nothing about cooking, sorry. Oh, that's fine. It depends on the situation. For my go-to like oil that I use is grapeseed oil. It's a neutral fat. It's a high heat fat. That generally tends to be my go-to. I use olive oil for specific situations because olive oil tends to have a stronger flavor to it, and sometimes I don't want that flavor. But if I have bacon fat, I'll use bacon fat. I'll render out chicken skin and chicken fat for schmaltz. But yeah, you want to draw. The whole idea behind the sautéing is you're trying to draw out the moisture of the vegetables and get it to evaporate off. So that's kind of what we're aiming for here. since we got a lot of stuff going there, okay. So, in the recipe, I have listed 6 cups of beef broth or some combination thereof. Since that is going right now, now's a really good time for me to get this going. So I've got my big 2-quart measuring cup here. My plan is I'm going to use 4 cups of what'll end up being beef broth adjacent. I'm using the Better Than Bouillon paste to mix it up. Then I'm going to add in a cup of red wine. This is just, you know, like 2-buck chuck kind of stuff. Cup of that, and then offset it with a cup of water. So I need 5 cups of water, and then I'll add the last cup of wine into this, and that'll just kind of help round out the flavor of everything. If you don't want to use wine, you can certainly use a beer. I would use something that's not terribly bitter. Scotch ales work really well, something like a German Doppelbock. But yeah, you want to try to avoid anything super bitter for that. And if you don't want to use alcohol at all, you do not have to. So it is not a have to at all. Okay, I got my 5 cups of hot water here. Let's check the stove real quick. Getting some browning in the pan, which is exactly what I want. I want that fond. That fond is flavor. So since I have 5 cups of very hot water here, yes. Instructions on this say 1 teaspoon per cup, and since I want about 4 cups of this, I'm going to use about 4 teaspoons. I'm eyeballing it. That's about 4. And then I just want to stir all that up to dissolve it. Whew, spoon got hot real quick. Yeah, well, it's not that the water heater is closed, it's that the our water cooler that has a hot water function on it. So, since water is an ingredient, you want to use a good tasting water. Our city water is okay, but we do have a water delivery service, and this is that water, which is it's a good tasting water. Okay, so that's 4 cups of that. I'm going to, hey Maria, welcome, welcome. I'm going to add a little bit of this mushroom bouillon. This calls for 2 teaspoons per cup. I'm only going to add a single teaspoon just to kind of help round things out a little bit. And then we'll top it with the red wine. And that's our 6 cups. How you doing today, Maria? So unfortunately, Maria, I ended up not making bagels just because I got caught up doing other stuff, but I am using that second batch of dough today to make a big thing of flatbread with some herby garlic oil going on it, so that'll be delicious. Back to the stove. There we go. Had a carrot jump out of the can. Okay. Tomato paste. I love carrot, peas, and rice. Yeah, it's good stuff. Hey, Lumpy Pickle, what's going on? Welcome, welcome, buddy. So yeah, I got out the tomato paste here, so we'll add a little bit of this to it to kind of help really ramp up the flavor a bit. And I'm gonna move this stuff. Hey, Mrs. Waiso's home. I'm well, thank you. How are you? What with your computer issues today?
The computer issue.
Her computer died at work?
Yep. Computer died. It took all day to get me signed on to a different computer, and then when I got to the computer, I didn't have any sort of Outlook, Excel. So then I had to wait to get that set up. By the time it was all done, I was like, what's the point? Let's just go home. How is everyone? Yeah, computer issues, so it might just be a simple reboot of the operating system, and it might be, oh, you get a brand new machine, whee! So, I'm home. Happy days. Happy days. I'm excited for dinner.
It's gonna be good.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
You said, oh yes.
Did I what?
Nothing. Good game.
Thanks. So that's coming along nicely. I should probably get the rest of the stuff set up and ready to go. So let me flip over to the recipe real quick, which, boom, there's the recipe in case anybody was wanting to follow along at home. I need some dried thyme, need a couple of bay leaves, so I'll just throw those in there now. Oh, since Mrs. Weisel was talking about computer issues, that neighborhood party that we went to Tuesday night actually yielded some very good information. I think I mentioned at the kind of the end of the stream. So that was about 2 teaspoons of thyme-ish, 2 bay leaves. Let's see, how much Worcestershire? About a tablespoon. That works. There's an ISP that has a gigabit fiber line literally running through our backyard, but they're notorious for having horrible customer service, and I can't say that I've had when we first moved here, we had them, but the connection was awful. And so it's been there, and it's an amazing deal, but it was always a question of, well, what's people's experience with it? There was somebody there that actually has that particular connection, the exact one that I was asking about. And he said that, because he's only been in the neighborhood for about a year, but he said that he's had 0 downtime, and it wasn't quite 1 gigabit, but it was like, I think he said something like 968, both up and down, which is amazing, and it's a little less than half of what I'm currently paying. So the plan is that by the end of the month to be switched over to that one, and it will yield a better connection in theory. So crossing our fingers on that. Let's see. Okay, so the Worcestershire sauce is in. Oh, pearl barley. There we go. Need a cup of that. I need to rinse it. And then we need to add some pepper. Yeah. And then, yeah, that's about it. Cool. There we go. There we go. Alright, I'm going to turn that off momentarily. Okay?
Everything could be wonderful.
What? No.
Yes.
Okay.
I got exciting news. My baby mama, as I call her, she's my good friend who had 2 children that I consider my own.
Did you grab the spatula that's over there?
Yeah. Anyways, they moved to Texas, and have regretted that decision. So they're starting to house hunt back here, and I'm very happy about that. I need my baby mama and my babies. Anyways, so that's something that good happened.
That is very good news.
Actually, my computer crashed, but it wasn't the end of the world.
No, it wasn't the end of the world, but to be honest, this news kind of trumps that.
This news was
Okay. Well, we got a little bit of fond in the pan, so I'll go ahead and add the tomato paste now, and then we'll get everything into the Instant Pot. And let's see. Pretty, I could eat that. With everything going to Shizen, Texas, I'm glad they're getting out. Yeah, they're in Austin. And they bought a house while it was still being built. And then shortly after they purchased it, it was announced that Tesla was going to be building their factory like right there.
Yes, before the house was finished, they got like 60 grand in escrow.
Equity.
Equity, that's what I meant to say. Which is an amazing return.
Yeah, it is.
Anyways. Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
The whole reason why I'm cooking the tomato paste is that it helps add a little bit more flavor to it.
Yep. Color equals flavor. How long will this cook?
20 minutes under pressure and then 15 natural release.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's not going to be ready in time for you to, before you need to go.
Oh no, I can't eat before I go. Even if it were ready, I'd just throw up. I'm going to keto tonight. I might regret that later, but it is what it is. It's a lot of rolling on the floor. And you don't even drink water beforehand. You just do it.
So I'm just scraping down all the yummy brown stuff. So the reason why I added all of the liquid to the pan is because I want to bring it to a boil. So then that way when I get it into the Instant Pot, the Instant Pot doesn't have to work quite as hard, and it can in theory come up to pressure that much quicker. I used to do yoga after work, but I always had to eat beforehand, so I didn't eat one of my fellow yoga goers. Yoga full on a full stomach's not a good idea. Yeah. A keto on a full stomach is not a good idea either. But yeah, she went on, what was it, Monday? Monday. First time in a long while. So hooray. I'm just going to take taking the whole pot over to the stove so I'm not walking through the kitchen with a whole bunch of hot liquid in a very shallow pan. And in the meantime, let's get
avocados.
Yeah,
Buy these?
I did. They were on sale.
Nice. Your parents are shipping some avocados up
Oh, very good.
because they're cool. Where's the
Where's the what?
chat?
Oh, wrong mouse. Here you go. And it's in the other tab.
I see. I see there! Yay! Yeah, I miss Aikido a lot. There's just, I don't know. There's this peace of mind that comes with it. The people are amazing. It's good exercise. Yeah, exercise. I mean, depending on your exercise, but Aikido is a lot of for martial art. It's not combative. It's you grab and push through, and you spend the whole time rolling around on the floor, literally, and getting over the mental game of I need to throw myself onto the floor.
I need you to step to the side. Thank
It's
you.
not easy.
Okay. So here we go. Everything. Oh. Almost forgot the half of the name of the stew, the barley.
The barley? What? Yeah. I wouldn't be finding a good yoga studio. I mean, that's a good stretching practice. Which would be really helpful. Right now he's taking the barley and rinsing it on our the beautiful sink cam that we don't have
Yet.
Yeah. Although, do we really need one? We'll have to do dishes more. Now that we have piles.
There's a couple of dishes in the sink, but everything else is clean.
Yeah.
And the only dishes that are in the sink are the ones that I've dirtied, like, today. Well, during the stream.
Yeah. No, we stay on top of our dishes.
Yeah. Okay.
Is this leftover garlic?
Yes, that's going to be going on top of bread.
Ooh.
Okay. That is ready to go. So move it over here so then that way the steam release doesn't nail
The cameras and stuff?
the cameras and the streaming computer.
Do-do-do-do.
Okay, so that's set.
On.
And 20. High pressure. Now we can let it do its thing. I'm going to go grab the dough real quick, which is outside. And
Oh, that's right. It's the leftover dough.
Yes!
Because you're smart.
I am. Boom. So I stuck this into the fridge basically right after the stream on Tuesday, and so it's been in there ever since. So it's had a chance to really kind of slowly develop some yummy goodness going on. This is what we're going to do. It's been outside for about an hour now. Actually, no, it's been about an hour and a half. So it's had a chance to kind of come up to temp. It'll relax a little bit before we go and bake it off. But got a tray ready to go here. But in the meantime, we need to finish off the topping for the bread. For that, I'd gotten some rosemary and thyme out of the garden, and I figured, you know what, it would be good on it. I washed this a little bit earlier, so at least when I brought it in, so I'll throw the fresh herbage in there. And then I have, so this is garlic that I slow cooked in this olive oil earlier today. That was the picture that went up on Instagram and Facebook. And so that's what we're going to use in the pan, as well as on top of the bread. I'm only going to use the oil itself on the bottom, but we're going to mix in some of that roasted, well, I guess not really roasted, but some of the slow cooked garlic into this, as well as the fresh garlic. And then yeah, we will brush this over the top, and it will be delicious, and we'll bake it for probably about 20-25 minutes. The oven temp is up a little bit higher than I had it on Tuesday. I actually have it up at 400. So, okay, that's probably enough time. Garlic cone feet. Yeah, basically, garlic with feet. And I'm kind of thinking maybe stuff is super fragrant right now. Okay. I think I can hold off on that. Move that off to the side for a moment. You know what? Okay. So I want to decant off some of the oil to put in the bottom of the tray first, and then wonder whose rosemary was named after. My guess is somebody named Bob. That would be my guess. Kind of like we found out on Tuesday, I think this bread benefits from having enough oil down here that the U.S. is going to want to invade. There we go. Okay, so we got a pretty good covering there. Let's add some additional oil to that. Push that stuff out of the way momentarily, so then that way we can blend this up. Good. Smells good. Smells real good. Awesome. Alright, I'm gonna go grab... I got some kosher salt and black pepper here that we'll also put on the top. So we've got that. That's good to go. Got a little spatula so we can spoon it out over the dough. Some additional olive oil here, which that to our paddle. Awesome. Get that synced. So okay. A little bit of olive oil for the hands. I'm just patting it and spreading it out a little bit. And it's bouncing back a little bit, which the dough is actually still a little bit cool to the touch, so I'm kind of thinking we should just let it relax for a few minutes before hitting it with all that yummy goodness. Okay, we got just out of frame. I don't know if it's visible, but you can see the steam starting to come out a little bit. I wonder, I have to look that up. Yeah. Okay. That's staying still and looking real good. Cracked the front nose piece hitting the curb at the end of the driveway this morning. Parts only 66, thank goodness. Oh, is that on your new motorcycle? Ugh. That's rough, man. Alright. That is looking excellent. So let's hit it with the smear. Okay. Okay. Got a little bit more in there. Let's get all that goodness out. Oh, there we go. Looks like it's sealed. bread thoroughly covered. Hit it with a bit of salt, pepper, there we go. All right, our bread is ready to go in the oven. Yep. All right. It is on, but it hasn't decided that it wanted to start its time just yet. But our bread is ready to go. Let it wipe down, get this out of here. Oh, there it goes. All right, 20 minutes at full pressure, which, there we go. 20 minutes at high pressure. Then we're going to let it cool down do a 15-minute natural release. Then we'll release the extra pressure and we'll be good to go for ladling up. This is going to take about 22-25 minutes, so I'm going to get it in the oven right now. And then it can cool down for a couple minutes before we cut it. Okay, just wanted to get some of that stuff soaking. So in that way, it cleans up way easier. Yeah, I can see how you would expect it to be way more expensive, Lumpy, especially being brand new and everything. But my guess is that hopefully somebody in the design process had the foresight to think, you know, people may end up hitting this a little bit more often, so they designed it as a very easily replaceable piece and making it, you know, on the little bit less expensive side specifically so that, you know, it can be easily replaced and on the cheap. At least if they're, you know, we're good designers, that's what they did. So, but yeah. Very good. Yes, more water. Hail hydrate, folks. How do y'all like the new music scroller? That took way longer than I expected it to, because it's actually, I think, the third program that I tried using. The first one, I watched a video, but I didn't realize it was as old as it was, and I went and downloaded the latest version of it, and it discontinued support with the VLC music player that I'm using. And so I went and downloaded an earlier version, and it couldn't find it because of reasons. So I found a totally different program, tried setting that up, and it wasn't a fan. Found a third program and managed to get it set up, and it took a little bit to kind of figure out how it wanted the syntax, so then that way it was scrolling the artist name, the album name, which in this case it's White Bat 11. It's the name of the album, and then the song title is Splatter. Yeah. So it's helpful, especially because Tuesday when G Money was here, he made a comment, oh, this is a really good song. And, you know, it was just like, it would be helpful if that information was there for people, so if they wanted to check it out, they could. But like I said earlier on, all the music is from Carl Casey, aka White Bat Audio. The guy does some awesome stuff. So all the music that I was using beforehand is from him, but it wasn't in a easily tagged format. So all of this, everything has been tagged correctly. So then that way the player can actually recognize all that information. This is all technobabble for some people, but for people like me who've been doing digital music for 20 years now, tagging makes a big difference, making sure that song files have all the correct information. And because I got to a really good habit very early on, all of my stuff is tagged in a very specific way, and so then that way it's all totally uniform. So it's very helpful, especially when you have a lot of music in a digital format. There's a reason why I've got, a couple of external hard drives specifically for music. So, but it's super helpful, and I need to go through the individual albums because he does not only like kind of the synthwave, vaporwave, he also does darker stuff and some cyberpunk industrial, which that particular work isn't stuff that I wouldn't necessarily put as background music for this. Most of the stuff that I was using is, kind of the chill, synthwave stuff. And so I need to actually scroll through the individual albums and then pull out tracks that won't necessarily work, which thankfully is pretty easy once I actually have a chance to scroll through them. So, but I got this set up, I don't know, about 4 hours ago. So it's the inaugural rolling out of it, but I did manage to fix the whole loading timer where it went off the screen last time because I had moved it. I fixed that so it actually fits a lot better now. A lot of behind the scenes stuff. It's a lot of work getting all this set up and making it look good and everything. But I enjoy it. It's fun. It just, having enough hours in the day for all of that. Especially since I found myself wanting to work on a bit of an art project that I hadn't worked on for over a year, and so I picked it up again and have been working on it for the last couple of days. So it's been good. It's stuff that I really enjoy doing, and especially during lockdown and stuff like that, I ended up spending a lot of my days working on that kind of stuff. So I thoroughly enjoy it. But yeah, been busy. Now, with guests that are rolling in next weekend, it's like, okay, we've got about a week left now. So my day tomorrow is going to be spent, let's see, I think I'm going to be doing some work out back, and I've got a bathroom to detail. So I think that's kind of my big tasks for tomorrow. And then I think Saturday is when I'll probably end up starting the detailing of the kitchen. Because there's some stuff that, just falls by the wayside because you don't have time or something like that. Things like baseboards. But I'll go through and vacuum and mop, and there's some spaces above the stove where oil ends up vaporizing and ends up sticking up there, kind of stuff. So it's like I want to clean stuff like that. I want to dust. get rid of my empty bottle collection that really needs to go out to recycling. Just I haven't had a chance to take it out, so I'll be taking it out. You know, things like that. But I'm looking forward to it. Oh, and wait, today is the 4th, which means that, let's see, 5th, 6th, 7th, Monday. Monday is Mrs. Weso's birthday. Monday. Mrs. Weso's birthday. So we're debating about whether or not we should go get her birthday dim sum Saturday.
Yeah.
Or
Saturday.
dim sum Saturday. Or if we go next Saturday.
We have to ask those that are driving.
Yes, we need to speak to some folks.
The people that are driving, do they want to go to dim sum
on Saturday morning? That is, if they're going to be here. Yeah. Soldier Giants just wish you happy birthday.
Thanks.
I can smell the herbs. Bread be in the oven. I'm
It
excited.
looked like there was a lot of oil. Is that common?
Well, after the stream on Tuesday, I realized that I wanted some additional oil on the bottom, specifically to kind of help crisp up the bottom a little bit more. And so this is garlic infused olive oil. So then it'll be extra yummy. Avocado Green KitchenAid is asking if you have a birthday request for Tuesday.
Oh, for the stream?
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily. I don't know. I've been thinking about that, but I don't know.
She used to, so her standing birthday request for a long time
Yes.
was steak, preferably ribeye.
Not necessarily ribeye.
Well, it was in the beginning. In the beginning, it was
I don't remember that.
I do remember that. In the beginning, it was a ribeye steak with béarnaise sauce.
I do remember the béarnaise.
Yes, you do remember the béarnaise sauce. Then for the vegetable, well, baked potato usually,
Yes.
because baked potatoes are jam. And for vegetable, I don't think you had like a specific request.
I don't know. We haven't had béarnaise sauce in a while.
It's true. We have actually. I think it's been September. I think September.
Request breakfast. Make you do breakfast.
Oh, jeez.
That's how much I love.
Oh, that's how much you love me. Is you're gonna request breakfast? Jeez. Oh, those are scraps.
For the dogs.
Yes. Hang on. There we go. Good girl. Had a bone-in ribeye one Christmas and thought I'd die of happiness. Yeah, you know what's actually kind of funny on the Soldier Giants? There's a market in Portland that I go to that in their freezer section they have Wagyu ribeyes for like some ridiculously low price. It was like $21 a pound or something like that. Like they're bone-on ribeyes, and they're fairly large. So that might be something to get.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know how thick it is. My only concern is how thick is it, because if it's like a half-inch thick, like that'll be.
But we have red meat all the time.
We do have red meat.
That's the only thing is, before it was something I never had that often.
Yeah.
Well, something we haven't had in a long time is something like halibut, you know?
That's true. We haven't had halibut in a while. Well, let's see. We had halibut when we did fish and chips.
True.
That was halibut.
True.
So
I don't know.
You think about it.
I will. I'll think about it.
Think about it, because I mean, there's a lot of things that we could make depending on what she's feeling like. So
Yeah.
you got to peace out.
Yes. Right now, I'm gonna feel like regret and shame.
That's okay. You'll be glad you went. You always are.
Yes, and if I'm tired, I can just, stop. I don't have to go the whole hour.
That's true. You can just.
I can.
Hi, Jane.
His sensei is teaching today.
Oh, is he?
And he's not a. The guy who taught on Monday is like, it's been a while. Let's give you a break. Sensei is teaching today, like, no.
That's nice.
You're gonna. Yeah, that's nice. You're gonna work hard.
Yeah. So. Okay, baby.
Love you.
I love you too. Actually, you know what I have been thinking about? Trying to figure out.
Text and stuff.
Okay. Belgian waffles.
Yes.
Like proper yeast-raised Belgian waffles. Because I've had a waffle iron for years, but we've never really found a waffle recipe that we've been 100% satisfied with. No, you!
And you guys all on stream are awesome. I appreciate you and stuff. I love you guys. That's how we say love.
Mwah.
So.
Alright, have fun.
I'll keep you posted.
Sounds like a plan.
Hopefully I don't have a heart attack.
Agreed. Thankfully, somebody there's got to have some basic medical knowledge, including what's-his-face that's done everything.
Yes. Yes.
Alright, no problem on the Soldier Giants. You have yourself a good night, man. Take care. Thanks for being here. But yeah, Belgian waffles. Proper yeast-raised Belgian waffles. That's one of those things, though, that at least in reading recipes for that seems like it's best if the batter is actually made the night before and then put into the fridge, so then that way it can do slow fermentation overnight. Little girl's freaking out for some reason. So I'm thinking, if anything, so if we do it on Tuesday, like for dinner or something like that, then like it's one of those things that I suppose like maybe Monday night, maybe make the dough. I don't know. I'll have to do a little bit more reading. But that would be something. I'd be down for like chicken and waffles. I love chicken and waffles. That's delicious stuff. But it's really up to Mrs. Weiso, kind of what she wants to do. But yeah, good times. What we got? 4 minutes on regular time, and then another 15 of natural cooldown. And 5:45 on the bread, but let's have a look. Oh, that's looking good. Just kind of waiting for it to brown a little bit, but I think 22 minutes will probably be just fine for it. Then we'll pull it out and let it cool on the stovetop for the rest of the time. But so what are y'all eating tonight? What are you guys making for dinner? Or what are you having for dinner if you're not making dinner? Salmon. Oh, very nice. I haven't had salmon in a while. That might be something that Mrs. Weiss would like to do. Earlier, Grant was streaming, and he was doing one of his deep dives. There we go. There's in the process. So okay, let me back up and explain for those that may not know. The deep dives are. He's doing a deep dive into, and right now into power metal specifically, and kind of going year by year to kind of go through and discover bands that maybe he's never heard of, listen to albums that maybe he's never heard of, and really kind of dive into the history of it and kind of see how the genre is unfolded. Well, there's a reviewer on the Metal Archives, a guy by the name of Larry, that is very blunt and doesn't pull punches when it comes to his reviews of albums. And what's interesting is Grant's found that he tends to agree with the bulk of what he has to say, which is really a hallmark of a reviewer that you want to pay attention to. Is if they tend to have the same. Oh, there we go. 20 minutes. So we'll start the 15-minute timer. There we go. Yeah, but it's the hallmark of really what you should look for in a reviewer of really anything, is whether or not their views kind of align with your own. So then that way oh, okay, if this person likes X, then I will more likely, like it myself. But this particular reviewer, he made a joke about some kind of basting liquid or something, and I happened to have it on in the background as I was working on some other stuff. And he mentions me by name. It's like, oh, maybe you can come up with a baste for Larry, and they were calling it a piss and vinegar type of basting liquid. And so I'm like, you summoned me? And it became a question of like, okay, well, what can we do to put this basting liquid together, kind of thing. And so I started thinking about it a little bit, and I thought, really, well, what we should probably put into it is, well, obviously vinegar, but I was thinking something to the effect of like a really cheap beer kind of thing, so like a beer and vinegar basting liquid. And anyways, in, I don't know, I think maybe 10-15 minutes, I think I put together a kind of a proto recipe, I think, that I might have to make just to kind of see how it'll work out. But it'd be pretty funny. But that's what I mean. Even though he said he really brought it up more as of a joke than anything else, I thought to myself, no, well, this is just my personality type. If somebody comes at me with a joke or trying to troll me with something like that, then I find myself more inclined to lean into it and make it a reality. I mean, that's how Mayo Soup happened. It was started out as a joke, but hey, let's make this happen. How much time do we got, Brad? That much time. Okay. Well, let's... Oh, there we go. Up. There we go. Got some crispies around the edge. That is exactly what I was hoping for. Nice. So I'll leave it over there on the stove top for the time being, and then in about 11 minutes or so. Once we're ready to release this, and we'll dish up, and then we'll cut into that. And actually, I'd run the my pizza cutter through the dishwasher. I mean, it comes apart. But I had it on the drain board. I thought taken apart. I'm guessing Mrs. Wesa might have put it back together. So, cool. That's ready to go. Actually, let's give the cutting board a rinse, so then that way we can actually cut the bread on it. Clean cutting board. Let's pull this back. There we go. Excellent. Yeah. So since guests are coming into town next weekend, Thursday is a little up in the air as to whether or not I'll be streaming. At the moment, the plan is 2, but it also kind of depends on if there's anything else around here that I need to get ready before they get here. Mostly things like, laundry and other things like that. So tentatively we'll say yes. We'll be streaming next Thursday also, but don't be terribly surprised if there isn't one. But then after this upcoming weekend, we should be back on the regular streaming schedule that we had been of Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Although with Mrs. Wesa going back to keto and other things, I'll kind of want to figure out with her schedule everything else, and then we might move the streaming days a little bit depending on that, because I tend to prefer it when she's here, so then that way she can benefit from the food and everything. Plus I like just having her around, so that'll be something to consider. But I also kind of want to get some more late night stuff in, because I don't know, I mean, I'm generally a night owl, and so if I end up doing like a later thing, it'll probably be impromptu. Like, it won't be a planned or announced thing. It'll just be like, okay, this is just happening. Probably like with the waffle batter, more than likely. That's my guess. But I do actually one of the things I've been, okay, so a while back I did that reaction video, and trying to figure out times in order to actually do that has been kind of difficult. But I think it'd be a good time to actually like pull up some of these food videos that I've been watching. Like, there's this one that we watched last night that I'm like, oh, I really want to like watch this with people or do a reaction to it. It was just one of the ones that pops up for me on YouTube. But the guy working in the kitchen, I think this is if I remember correctly, the place is in Fukuoka, Japan. The guy working in the kitchen was really good. Like, he was doing some seriously hot moves, like doing his thing. Like, clearly he's been doing this for a long time, and just you could tell with some of the things that some of the moves that he was doing while he was cooking, that he'd done them a billion times and it was second nature. Specifically, he was making I guess it's really a sort of a, I don't know, maybe like a bit of a diner is where he was at, and one of the dishes that he was making was omurice, which is rice. It's a bed of rice that's usually made with like ketchup in it, and then there's a fluffy omelet that ends up going over the top, and it's shaped a little bit like a football. Traditionally, when it's made, the omelet goes over the rice, and then you slit the omelet, and it peels open and reveals kind of this, you know, runny interior, but it spills down the side, and it's, you know, fun to watch, and it's very common, very typical. Okay, what this guy was doing is he had the rice on the plate, and he was making the omelet in the pan. He had it like tilted, kind of shaped like the football, with the seam kind of on the top side. And what he was doing was popping it out of the pan, catching the omelet on the rice, but instead of having it in the normal way where you end up slitting it, he did it upside down, and then the omelet just naturally opened over the rice. Like, it's amazing to watch. So yeah, it's super, super cool. Okay, I'm gonna have to figure out how to, well, actually I know how to do it, but what I may end up doing is having to set something up on here, so then I can like pull up video clips like that, so in that way y'all can see them and see what I'm talking about, because the dude was skilled and it was super cool. Yeah, a lot of fun. 4 minutes. Still showing that it's pressure. The little red delete, oh, it's off camera, but let's see if we can. You still can't see it because the handle's in the way. But there's the red kind of pressure gauge is still full up, which tells me that there's still pressure. That's okay. I'm gonna go bowling away. Spoons. Long-handled spoon. These are great for eating soup and the like. Okay, we've got the pizza cutter handy. We'll leave the bread be. We'll cut into the bread after the stew comes out. Oh, the other thing. Since I completely forgot to add the pepper to the Instant Pot, I'm going to use some butt glitter, and that should hit it with the peppery goodness that we want. Probably don't need any salt, but I'll grab it just in case. So when we go to try it, if it needs any seasoning adjustment, we can do that. But I didn't add any, other than to the vegetation that when we sauteed it up, it's only a couple of pinches of salt. So whatever other salt that is in there is from that little bit of the mushroom bouillon powder, and then the beef better than bouillon that we use to make the broth and everything. But that should be good to go. Well, it's only a minute and a half. Well, let's see what it's looking like. That's not too bad. Can't really see it from there. But the steam plume goes up to about here. I really didn't want that underneath the laptop that's running the stream. Almost there. So close. Now you can actually see the little red dealer. This is riveting, I know. Welcome, welcome, lurkers. There we go. There we go. Smells good. There we go. Okay. Put that off to the side for a moment. Come on. It wasn't liking something. There we go. Alright, I'll leave that on warm. Mrs. Way-So. There's our stew. There we go. Okay, let's give this a quick taste. Let's just see what kind of where the salt is at and everything. Actually, I think it can use a little bit of salt. That surprises me. I mean, it's got a good flavor, it just needs a bit of salt. I'll hit it with a touch of butter. Oh man, the moment that buck letter hit it, just got a big old burst of yummy smells to my nose. Yep, that did it. Okay. That is ready to go. Let's go grab that bread. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. That's looking real good. Let's... Smells really good. Oh man, that's tasty. Get the garlic, you get the herbs, rosemary and thyme that's in there. Salt's just perfect. A little bit of pepper. This is super tasty. Heck yeah. Underside's not too brown or anything. But oh yeah, it's perfect. Okay, let's try a piece of meat. That's a chuck roast, and it was only in there 20 minutes plus almost 15 of a natural cool down. Other than being hot, it is 100% tender. Super, super tender. That's perfect. I'm very happy with that. So, as for would I change anything? The answer is it's not necessary, but I would. And here's what I mean. So, actually adding some additional salt, since it just needed a little bit just to bring it up. The other thing is, if I had the time to actually make some beef stock, I would have preferred it. Like, using beef stock in this would just kind of bring it up even more so. But other than that, like, the flavor is good, the texture is good, it's got a good flavor. I'm looking forward to going and sitting down and just going to town on this. So overall, it's a win. It's definitely a keeper in my opinion. The bread turned out great. I'm a big fan of this dough. Thank you, Maria, to introducing me to it. I will have to make this on a somewhat regular occasion, because it did come together super easy. And other than just, letting it chill, if I do it the night before and plan to have it, like the next day, that's I think perfect. I would like to try making bagels out of it, because I think doing the bagels would be really, really tasty with this. So that is it, folks. Any questions from the class? So let's see. Oh, Rav is on. He's playing video games. Nick is on. We did just raid him on Tuesday. Let's see. You know what? I haven't raided Rav in a hot minute, so I'm thinking, let's go raid Rav. Even though he's playing video games, definitely do stick around for a minute or so, if you can. If you've never heard of Rav, he's the lead singer of a band out of Edmonton, Canada called Ravenous. Awesome band. He's got a phenomenal voice. Really good guy. So this should be fun. There's the raid message, and let's see. Yeah, okay. So let's go raid Rav. There it is. Okay. Cool. So I will see you all Tuesday of next week. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Thank you to the lurkers. Appreciate everyone being here. Take care. If you ever have any questions about anything, please feel free to hit me up. Should have thrown, there's the socials link. Generally, the best way to get a hold of me is going to be on the Discord. But yeah, feel free to hit me up. If you ever have any questions about food or anything like that, I'm happy to help you out in any way I can. Thank you so much, everybody. Love you all. And I will see you next week.
Hello, boys and ghouls. DK's making a snack today. What's it gonna be? What's it